Today, I'm going to be talking about age. The reason being because I am asked so often, how old are you, Angela? I don't mind this because I'm very confident in my age and content as well. And I would like to think that the reason that I'm asked how old I am so often is because I have such a youthful personality. But maybe it's just because, I wear sunscreen, drink plenty of water, don't smoke, and don't drink. Could be that too. Oh, maybe because I have, excellent fashion sense. But, irregardless of the reason for why, I thought since most of the time it's international students that ask, it'd be a good thing to talk about. So in English-speaking cultures, it's actually quite uncommon to speak about your age. If you're on the younger side, it's more common, but once you get a little bit older, it's less common. And to speak about a specific age, especially if you're in advancing years or a woman, it's even more unusual, and it can be considered quite rude. Just a heads up for people who are asking women, it's rude to ask age and weight, at least in the United States. So bear that in mind. Some women are different and they don't care one way or the other, but I would want to say the majority would be slightly offended. So bear that in mind. I know you're probably trying to be polite, but you can be polite without asking age directly to someone you don't know very well, or ask somebody that knows them. I don't know. Instead, you'll more commonly hear people use idioms when speaking about age, like saying, oh, I'm old, or oh, I'm getting on a bit, or I'm in my late 50s, I'm in my early 30s, things like this. There are also other idioms, which I'm going to share with you, relating to age. Remember, people are sensitive to age and aging, especially if they feel that they are being judged. This is due to ageism, and it is something that people face in different cultures. The kind thing to do is to be very sensitive with your words. I hope you enjoy the following 10 idioms about age. The first idiom is, I wasn't born yesterday. This idiom means that due to someone's experience in life, they're not going to be easily fooled or deceived. The second idiom is to have one foot in the grave. Sounds pretty morbid, I know, but it means to be so old that you are very close to death. However, a young person could also use this idiom, maybe because they are so tired. They have worked a very long day, and they feel that they are so close to death that they have one foot in the grave already. So it could be used by the young, or it can be used by the old. It could be used because they're very old and they are actually 1 foot in the grave already, or because you've been very sick, or because you've been very tired. The next idiom is meant to be used when two people are familiar with each other. So please don't use this with people you don't know well, because you could accidentally offend someone. This idiom, the third idiom, is age before beauty. This is meant to jokingly be polite, saying that the elderly person should go first because they are elderly and therefore you're trying to be polite to them and respectful to them. But implying that they're older and less beautiful can be considered a little rude. So make sure that you're very familiar with the person and that they will be okay with you using this idiom. The fourth idiom is spring chicken. Now, typically this idiom is used to describe a young person. However, strangely enough, you'll actually hear people who are elderly using it to describe themselves in a somewhat irritated manner. For example, they'll say, I'm no spring chicken. But it is actually meant to use to describe younger people. So it could go either way as well. The fifth idiom is knee-high to a grasshopper. Now this idiom again is meant to describe a young person. However, it is quite common to hear someone who is elderly speaking to someone who is young and recalling a time when they were younger. So it's quite common to use this when speaking about a toddler or someone who is maybe 10 years of age or younger, but specifically 5 years of age or younger. So anyone who's on the younger age, especially if someone's very, very elderly, they'll say, I remember when you were knee-high to a grasshopper. So about someone who was younger. The sixth idiom is coming of age. Now this idiom does not define a specific age. Rather, it has to do more with when you become responsible for yourself as an individual, as an adult. And it also can have to do with a period of time or movies or books or things like that. Something that has to do with becoming an adult is part of the process. The seventh idiom is ripe old age. Now we all know that the word ripe refers to fruit that is at its best and it's ready to be eaten. So if you reached a ripe old age, it means that you have aged greatly, but you are in very good health. The eighth idiom is age is just a number. This is meant to be a very uplifting and positive idiom, one that we say to ourselves and to other people. And the reason being is because it's meant to remind us that age does not define us, that it can't prevent us from doing things with our life just because we've reached a specific age. Our ninth idiom is act your age. This idiom is usually spoken with a tone of irritation or frustration. And this is because the speaker feels that the individual is behaving in a manner that is beneath their age greatly, and they need to rectify the situation immediately. The 10th and final idiom is you can't teach an old dog new tricks. This idiom is usually used by someone who is a little bit on the older side, but it doesn't have to be, but typically someone who's on the older side, and it's meant to convey the challenges that are faced by the individual or by the person who's trying to teach the individual how to do something new or different. And normally it's something very new or different. But it can be the individual themselves saying, can't teach an old dog new tricks. And it's a very defeatist, I would like to say. It's a very defeatist mentality. So let's try not to be defeatist. Let's try to be positive. We can always learn new tricks, right? Because age is just a number. Hopefully you have enjoyed this post about age idioms. And therefore you will consider commenting or liking or sharing or all three, because it is very helpful for content creators. And let me explain why. Although I'm sure you know, but let me explain. Because it gets our content out there more. It broadens the audience, and that's very helpful. So if you do it, thank you. I really appreciate it. And if you don't, please think about it. I would appreciate it. Not only for broadening my audience, but also because it builds my confidence. And I appreciate the interaction between you and me. And since I was asked how old I am recently, and recently meaning the questions for the questionnaires that was put in my stories, I will tell you that I am in my 30s, my mid-30s. Some might call it my late 30s, but it's my 30s. I am 37. I was born in December of 85. I'm very happy, very confident, very everything. Actually, I feel better now than I did when I was in my 20s. So please don't go, oh, 37? Oh, I can't believe it. Why?